Middle Faith Podcast.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, welcome back to the Middle Faith Podcast.
Yes, welcome back. Thank you for
Merry-
joining us in our special Petra. We'll probably do more than one episode down the road, but this is our first.
Yeah. And what I was going to say, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. This is our first episode of the brand new year, so Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year. Hope you all were safe and had fun with your family and friends, and all the best in 24.
You know, you started letting the cat out of the bag here, but before we get into the episode, I got one thing I want to say about it. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
You know, I'm excited. I'm all fired up about this episode. So much that I want to dance. You know, I've got a thankful heart that if you're here in the right place listening, and if you are, then more power to you. Because as for this intro, I got good news. It is finished. Because God gave rock and roll to you. And you haven't figured out, this episode is all about Petra.
Yes. God definitely gave rock and roll to you. They're definitely a band to be celebrated.
Oh, hang on. I actually forgot my notes. I'll be right back. Give me half a minute.
Do. We really need to get fill-in music, like the old Jeopardy song. Do 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 do. As we wait for our great host.
I'm back. Sorry about that. We might have to edit this part out.
I was telling the audience we're gonna have to fill that little spot in with some Jeopardy music, or
I might just edit that part out. I can't believe I forgot my notes. Well, I got my notes with me, but we're going to start doing a new segment here at the start of the episodes. Birthdays that happen to be occurring. We're going to do birthdays and news. So, for the first birthday here, January 3rd, I've got Chris Hyde, who was a drummer. He was born in 1965. Sorry for the writing. Anyways, he played drums for Holy Soldier, Deliverance, and Vengeance Rising. And then we got January 8th, Glenn Rogers, born in 1966, played with Deliverance and Vengeance. And January 10th, Lincoln Bowen, who played with Mortification, born in 1977. And I think the last one, because we'll go halfway up January, and it works into our episode. January 12th, born in 1950, Greg X. Volt. I think I screwed. Yeah, that's his name. Greg Volt of Petra, first Petra vocalist. The other thing I got news, and this isn't Petra related, but brand new, hot off the press, or at least brand new across the Facebook pages. It was an article about Ace Frehley. And the reason it relates to us is because he says his New Year's resolutions is to practice more guitar, but get closer to God. And stuff like this. He said he was born in the Lutheran church, went to Sunday school growing up, and like a lot of people kind of hit the teenage years and walked away and kind of never came back. But now he's, I guess, doing some soul searching and decides maybe he needs to discover who God is. So let's hope he continues down that path.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good news. And back to Petra. For those who didn't know, Petra is on a bit of a break, but last year they were doing their 50th anniversary / reunion tour. If you missed it, Well, there's good news. Hopefully you can catch them again this summer or this spring. They've got a few dates already. March 8th in St. Paul, March 22nd, Manheim, Pennsylvania. I think I said that right. And then in 29th and 30th, they're in Texas at the Woodlands and then Arlington. So if you're in those areas, and hopefully they're going to be adding dates later on in the spring and summer. I got to see them on the single Canadian date in November, this past November. It was a good show.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've seen them a number of times in conferences, and well, that pretty much I'm working behind the scenes, so they're terrific bunch of guys, and always a good show.
Yeah, and like I said, 50 years. I think Bob Herman's the only one who's been with the band from the beginning. He did take a bit of a break, a few years there, and came back. But the lineup, is John Schlitt, Bob Hartman, and I think it's Lowy on keyboards. Anyways, it's the classic three guys from, John Lowery on keyboards. The classic three guys that we all knew in the 80s. Their rhythm section, the bass player and drummer, are a little bit newer. They joined them in the 90s or 2000s, something like that. But, for guys hitting their 70s or whatever, they can still rock and roll.
Yeah, but before that, they actually started as a group in 1972.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been around for quite the run.
Yeah, well, we're hitting over 50 years now.
Yep.
And stuff like this. But you're
20
right.
albums.
Oh, many. Many Dove Awards, even a couple Grammys and stuff like this.
Yeah, lots of Grammys and Dove Awards, which are just the Christian version of the Grammy Awards. That's all it really is. So.
But yeah, actually, let's get a little bit of history. I want to do our top 10 favorite Petra songs. But before that, let's get a little bit of history of the band for those who don't know. Like you said, they were formed in 1972. They had Bob Hartman, Jeff DeGroff on bass, Greg Howe on guitar, and Bill Glover on drums. They didn't even have a permanent vocalist. It was Greg and Bob switching off in vocals for the first album or two. And then in 74, they released the first album, Petra, and then Come and Join Us in 77. They had guest vocals on Come and Join Us. One of those guest vocals was Greg X Bolts, who then decided to join them permanent time for A Wash Is Whiter Than in 1979. Throughout the years, they've had many lineup changes. And here we go. John Schlitt came in on vocals in 86 to 94.
Sorry, when did John Schlitt come in? 94?
No, 86 to 94.
86. How do we know how they found him, or did he found them?
Yeah, I've heard John's testimony. John talking in interviews. I can't remember. John had been playing in a band and before he was saved, and he was singing, and he was the typical young rock and roll star, drinking heavily, might have even been doing drugs. I can't remember if that was part of his testimony or not. And then his life was in a downward spiral, and he was ready to, I think it was at wit's end or whatever. Anyways, gave his life to God, turned it around, and thought he was done with music. Someone, I can't remember who it was there, turned Petra onto Petra onto John and said, listen, you should get this guy on vocals. And I can't remember how they discovered him. But yeah, no, it was Petra reaching out to John because John was done. I think he might have been singing in his church, but that would have been it.
That sounds familiar. That sounds like, I mean, years ago, I remember I thought I heard that that's what it was, that he was singing in a church, and I don't know if John or one of the Petra guys were there, and they met after, and that was it. And they just, went forward, and he went and tried out, and that's what we know of him now.
Yeah.
His voice is very big, very good range, and I mean, he can hit the high notes. It was very much sounding like Journey and Styx.
Yeah, they were definitely going for that kind of sound, and I think they did that sound really good. And now, yeah, that's best description. Like I said, everybody looks for what's the Christian equivalent of so and so, and I hate those comparisons, but sometimes you do want some kind of comparison just to know what a band sounds like. Not that you're looking for maybe a substitute instead of the secular, although some people are. And if you are, that's great. And if you're not, we're not judging people what they do or don't do here, put it that way. But yeah, you're right. The Styx Journey type sound and stuff like that. I'd say that's a good way of describing them. Throughout the 80s, there were most people probably came to know Petra. I know I came to know them in the late 80s. Like I said, John Schlitt was on vocals from 86 to 94. Bob Hartman was on guitar. Louis Weaver on drums. Ronnie Cates on bass. And then John Lowry on keyboard. So like I said, Schlitt and Hartman and Lowry are back together on this 50th anniversary tour. Bob Hartman left from 95 to 2002. And I think it was just the rigors of touring. And I think the one album he played on, but then didn't tour, that might have been Wake Up Call. I think he played on, but then didn't tour for Wake Up Call. Or it was after Wake Up Call. Anyways, something like that. And I think that was just the rigors of his health, his age, and rigors of touring. But he did come back to rejoin them for the Jekyll and Hyde album in 2003. And then in 2005, we thought they called it quits.
Yeah.
They did the farewell album. Since then, they've had one-off shows. They've been doing festivals and shows here and there, but not any real touring until just recently. Today on in the lineup, like I said, Schlitt, Hartman, and John Lowry. They got Greg Bailey on bass and Christian Borneo on drums. And despite the fact that Bailey and Christian Borneo came in the late 90s or 2000s, whatever, they're still a solid band type of thing. And here we got some stats here too. Bob Hartman was the longest tenure with the band, 26 years. Louis Weaver spent 22 years with the band, and Schlitt 20 years. So I mean, that's some time with the band.
That's a long time. I found them during when Unseen Power just came out, so that was 89.
Yeah, that was the first album I got, and I went from there and then went back.
Yeah.
And like we said too, they've had multiple Grammys. They've for rock, contemporary gospel for Beyond Belief, and then Unseen Power, Best Rock Gospel for Wake Up Call and Double Take. Here's something too. They were in 2007. They were inducted in the Christian Music Hall of Fame, and then in the Music Hall of Fame, or the Gospel Music Hall of Fame, 2007.
Oh, they were inducted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I didn't know that.
And they reached a first milestone. 1994, they were the first Christian band to have memorabilia featured in the Hard Rock Cafe.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was, if it was guitar or clothing or what. But as I was kind of going through stats and history, that little note popped up. I thought, hey, that's kind of interesting. Okay. Sorry, you have something to say?
It's amazing nowadays what we can find out, right, with all the research online. And
oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's been interesting, and I've been doing a lot of research, trying to find not just the birthdays mentioned today, but trying to find birthdays for most of the bands that we listen to. I think I'm about halfway through my research. I might find there was a few I missed birthday wise in January here, but oh well. And there's a lot of guys I'm looking for. I can't find anything about them. I might find them online, might find a write up about them, and under age or birth date they got not available type of thing. Nobody seems to know when these guys were born, but I'm doing what I can.
Yeah. That's all. That's all you could do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's not all there, but most of the time you are. You are, and you do a good job doing it. So,
Okay, thanks.
I mean, if the fans out there are listening, let us know.
Yeah, if anybody's got information we don't have, we welcome feedback. Actually, that was the other thing I was going to say at the top of the thing too. If you got feedback, what we're doing well, let us know. If there's things we can do better, let us know. We're always welcome to feedback and improving our podcast. And if there's a topic you want us to cover as well that fits within our theme, let us know that too. We'll see if we can work on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're only on a couple platforms so far. I think we'll be on app. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. I'm going to try and get us uploaded to a couple others. I was working on, I think, the Google, and finding out information that sometime this year Google plans on shutting down their platform. So we'll be looking for other platforms instead of Google to upload to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a couple in the works that I'm going to try and get us on there.
Right on.
All right. Should we go into our top 10 Petra songs?
Sure. Why not?
All right. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Yeah. Why don't we go 1 in 1?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Okay, you go. I have to find it.
No, someone else lost their notes. I'm gonna leave that first part in, I think, because you just left your notes behind too.
Well, you're the main guy, so
All right. Just looking up. Oh, what album this came from? I think it was. Oh, I can't remember the album name. But anyways, number 10. And I tried to mix it up, not do all the obvious ones. Like there's the heavy hitters that everyone's gonna agree belong in the top 10. And mine are in here, probably in a different spot than yours, or we'll see how they line up. Anyways, number 10, I've got Praise Ye the Lord.
What? I've never heard of that song.
Oh, that's going back to, was it Wash Is Whiter Than? No, it wasn't. Before Wash Is Whiter Than. Or what was the album before that? I should have done a list of all the albums, but I didn't.
I just thought of that. Like, we should have named the album in case. I think mine, I kind of did. Well, I'll name one. I'm not going to go in order because
Okay,
the
go
paper, ahead. Destiny from the Unseen Power album.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's very good, fast.
Yeah, and Unseen Power, Destiny, and I can. Well, you might have the other one on the list too. I'm not sure if I should say the other big song. As a whole, I don't know if it was their best album, and it might even be one of my least favorites. But I don't have all the Petra albums either. I'm not a pet head for that.
Yeah, but I have some of the singles. Don't ask me. Like, while I was waiting for you, I found a Petra album I've never heard of. Has a heart on it. Oh, and I forget what it's called.
Has a heart.
What is it? Tears of something like that. I'll find
Beat the System, or I don't know. This wasn't Beat the System.
I can't remember. So I'm like, and that's the thing about Petra. They put out so much stuff. You really got.
Well, think about it. It's 50 years in the works.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Well, like so, we were talking about. You and I both kind of came in the same year. They were Unseen Power, and then I went backwards a little bit. Beyond Belief. What was before Beyond Belief? And just recently, it was only maybe 6 months ago. I know just this past year. I think it was in the summertime. I was at the local flea market, found On Fire and This Means War on vinyl.
Yeah.
$10 each.
Wow.
$10 each. So yeah, I had to buy them. That was the first time I had those albums as a complete album. As I was going backwards, picking up Petra's albums, and I didn't pick them all up. There was a lot of stuff in the early '80s, way more keyboard oriented, a little more poppier, and wasn't really my thing. But I did pick up the greatest hits album called Petrified and stuff, and it featured a lot of stuff from the early years. I think at that time when Petrified came out, it was just after On Fire, so it had This Means War, it had On Fire. Most of the stuff was all earlier. Most of the stuff was all Greg Voltz type songs. Praise Ye the Lord is from one of the Greg Voltz songs.
Mm-hmm.
So The Ancient Destiny. Okay, so I'm at number 9. Again, we're sticking with. No, this actually might be from This Means War. I can't remember what album this is. Again, I know it's off the greatest hits, but my number 9 is Don't Let Your Heart Be Hardened.
Ah, okay.
And you know what? It's a ballad, and I normally don't rank ballads very high. I'm not a ballad kind of guy, but this is one of those ones where I think the words just got to me. There's some songs where it doesn't really matter. I mean, the music's done well. It's not a hard rocking song. I think there's very, very few guitars in it, period. It's mostly just a piano song. But it's one of those, I think, those touching melodies, touching lyrics. So yeah, it's on there.
Yeah. I guess my number 9 would be In the Likeness of You from
Okay.
Still.
Yeah.
That really, I remember those days. I just loved that song. I was glad that CDs came out and it will never wear out.
Well, now we've got digital downloads, so as long as you keep subscribing and the
that
computers
was
don't go down.
from the Unseen Power album.
Right. Yeah, I remember that one. Recognize that one. All right, number 8 for me. This opens up with this great riff. When I seen them live this past summer, they did 2 sets of medleys. One set was Bob Hartman. The John Schlitt era of songs. Then I did a few more songs, and then went back and did another medley of songs that were originally recorded with Greg Voltz. And this is one of those songs. Again, I'm sticking with Greg Voltz for a little bit here. But they played this song in the medley. The only problem with medleys is I wish they played the whole song. But when I recognize how big their catalog is and how many great songs, you can't play every one of them. And even when they were done and the concert was all done, there were still people shouting out a couple songs they didn't play, wishing they had. The fact that they included this in the medley was good.
Yeah.
And this is Judas Kiss.
I would find it a challenge if I was the guy in charge of picking their song list. You got so many.
It is. But I mean, but Judas Kiss. I mean, that's a great song and a great guitar riff. That had to be on my list. I hear that opening riff. That you know that song?
No, I don't.
Oh, you got to check it out.
What's it called? Which one?
Judas Kiss.
Judas Kiss. I wonder if. Okay, I'll have to make a note to listen to that.
Yeah, make a note and listen to that.
Maybe I think I have. I just don't remember it.
Actually, and you know what? I think someone else covered it. Might have been One Bad Pig. Now I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. Anyways, I think it was One Bad Pig.
Is it in the same era of Beat the System?
Possibly. And there was one thing that I only thought about doing just before we started recording was maybe I should write down the albums that these songs came from. And I don't even know where I first heard that one because I don't have the album it came from. I must have heard it somewhere and thought, oh, that's a good song. And it is. Anyways, what's your next song?
My next song is No Weapon Formed Against Me Shall Prosper. I think that has memories as well as my next one about being at camp. And um I mean, I felt Petra when I went to camp. My dad felt that it was good for me being a youngster to go to camp, and so I went. And I was at the point, I was really battling my faith. I didn't want to believe. I felt that my dad was making me believe. So so when I went to camp, my dad was dropping me off. They were all church kids. Like, I knew nobody, zero. And so I kind of felt left out. But the cabin leader, he loved Petra, and he brought his big boom stereo, huge thing, and he was wearing Petra the whole week. So there's one song on my list that just, I mean, that was it. God met me there because of that song.
Great, great, beautiful story. All right, my next song coming in number 7. Let me tell you, I know what album this song is coming from. This Means War.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that one. Dang it.
And again, it's not heavy on guitars, but that drum beat, that boom, bam,
Yeah.
boom, bam, and the words behind it. I mean, if you want a fighting, battle cry, spiritual warfare song, oh man, that tell you. And again, they played that as part of their medley. I love that song. I wish they would have played the whole song. Again, I get it, because I mean they played so many songs, and I think they played like an hour and a half, 2 hours from start to finish. So it was a great show. I loved seeing that song done live. Anyways, that's what I got to say about that. I mean, what can you say? This Means War. There's not much you can say. It's just a great song.
Yeah. I think another good song from the Wake Up Call album was He's Been in My Shoes. I mean, that was so done.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like it was
And
just studio song, and I just think it touched a lot of people. I mean, I know for me when I first heard it, it was like, wow.
yeah, you know what? And Wake Up Call was a good album. I think a lot of people kind of dismissed it. They thought it was a little more
Mhm.
too commercial, especially coming after came after Unseen Power. See, I would rank it higher than Unseen Power as far as overall album. And there were some really good songs on there. Midnight Oil was a great song. Praying Man, one of my favorites. I mentioned
Yes,
those ones
man.
because
Yeah.
I mentioned those ones just because, geez, they could have been in my honorable mentions. They're not in my top 10, but they're songs I love. Now, I tried to stretch my top 10 around my whole Petra catalog. I can't say that their whole catalog because I don't have their whole catalog, but I try to stretch my top 10 favorites around everything I have, early stuff, old, new stuff, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah.
And you might have this song. Okay, we're at number 6 now. You might have this song on your list. You might have it higher. There were just so many good songs of theirs that, as good as this song is, it came in at number 6, and that's Beyond Belief.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot about that song, but that would probably have to be. I was actually listening to it while I was waiting for you,
Oh, okay.
because you had mentioned that you wanted to use that song for the opening, right?
If we could have, yeah.
Yeah. I could see why you want to use it.
I
Yeah.
mean, that opening riff that they've got in it, it's great, and it's. I was going to say it was simple. It's not simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And stuff, but it's great. Um, and as soon as again, I'm going to harken back to the last time I seen them because they played that in its entirety, and it's one of those songs I think everybody was on their feet singing along to it. Even my wife, who's not a big Petra fan, she's only heard Petra when I'm in the car playing it type of thing, and then I made sure on the way down, like the concert was 3 hours away from where we live. So I made sure I played like the best of Petra on the way down, so she would know the hits. And they even played actually a couple of songs off of their Petra Praise albums. So when they hit the the praise, she knew those, there's songs that anybody would know, because if you've been to
Yes.
church, anyway. So number 6 was Beyond Belief. What do you got next?
I have He Came, He Saw, He Conquered.
Nice.
Yeah. That definitely a good one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, great riff, great lyrics, and you know what? We just hit a common point, because that's my number 5. That was my number 5 song. He Came, He Saw.
Oops. Okay, well, I'll
No,
say
no, great. We landed on the same spot, or you might be at 6 or whatever, but that is great. Like, I want to see how songs line up, how they don't line up, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I really like this. Might be way out left field, but I like. Do you remember the song "Think Twice"?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's a good song. I like that song.
yeah. They were playing.
I just like that they evolved a little bit from that time. They went from the fast to the kind of felt like more like what's what we're looking for? Like a 70s start to the song, and then
Well, yeah, that was it. See, that was
yeah,
kind of a weird time. That was, what was it? I think that might. What was the name of that album? Was I Think Twice? No,
it was
I can see the cover where they're all.
I could picture it too.
And I know Enter In was on there. That was that Enter In was actually the song that they led off or started the concert with. I think they did. I think they did play Think Twice. But see, it was a different sounding album. Those later albums after Bob left, I don't think sold as well. I think bringing in the other guys created a new dynamic to the group, sent the group in a different direction. And I don't think a lot of the older fans were on board with it. I'm not saying they were bad albums. I did get that one. I don't have all the later albums. I think I've got one song from God Fixation, the title track. So I don't know what the whole album sounds like. And while I like the song God Fixation, I don't know. By that time, Petra's popularity was waning a little bit, type of thing,
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we are. If you're at 5 or I just said 5.
5, okay.
Was that you said He Came? Was that your 6th song or number 5 song?
We talked about that. Fired Up.
Okay, again. Oh, beautiful. We're hitting the same spots again. Yeah, I got all fired up coming in at number 4. What can you say? This again, another great song. That opening riff, that ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, do,
Mm-hmm. Fired Up.
Yeah.
I heard that song at the Prairie Bible College when they were there, and they had the pyro, they did everything, and they opened with it. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading up about some of the history, and when they were on tour for this, I wish I would have seen that or known who they were or seen a concert type of thing, because apparently they had this giant sword as a backdrop hanging from the ceiling, just like the album cover type of thing.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. Okay. So that was
That was 5. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your 4? Because that was my 4. So what's your 4?
My 4. I gotta go backwards. Oh yeah, King of Kings.
Oh, okay.
King of Kings, Lord of Lords.
Yeah, that's off the Rock Cries Out, the Petra Praise, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one from that album. I don't have that one on my list. We'll get that when I get to that. But that's okay. Good one. Actually, that album I think sold really well just because praise album,
And I think people wanted something different instead of just the normal Petra songs. To spend an hour or two praising, it's a little different. And for those who don't know what that means, it just means we're just singing to God. It's not spooky or anything. It's just we don't go into a trance. We don't jump up and down. Well, some kids might, but
some do, I think.
yeah. Kids at that youth conferences, they and they will start their little what's it called that you jump on people and they move you up and down the floor. For some bands, they'll do that.
Oh, that you're talking about crowd surfing, are you?
Yeah, crowd surfing. Thank you. Yes, yes. I've done that once, and that was the most terrifying moment of my life.
I haven't done that. I remember back in the early days with the local Christian music scene around here, we were kind of mosh or slam dance, and it was the best way I can describe it is a polite mosh or polite slam dance. And you would run around in a little circle and you bumping people and they're bumping into you, but it wasn't rough and it wasn't violent or anything like that. It was just people letting off energy and having a good time, really.
Yeah.
Petra Praise, though,
Yeah.
I found that a different album. It sold well. For me, it didn't rank high because I found there was more guests than actual Petra. So it didn't sound like Petra to me,
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were. It was definitely a what's the word? A different
sounding album.
Yeah.
I think it did well because there was a lot of familiar songs. Like, again, it was all praise songs, and a lot of people have been singing already in their churches. And Petra just said, "We're going to do it our way," type of thing, Okay, so where are we here? We're on number 3 now. Coming in at
boy.
What?
I don't know where you are because I'm like on my list. I'm done.
You're done. Well, okay, I'll rattle off my number 3 then. Did you forget about this one then? If you missed this one, did you forget about Jekyll and Hyde?
What?
You don't know that one?
No.
Oh.
Again, I might have listened to it and it just didn't connect with me.
Well, Jekyll and Hyde, a lot of people actually think the album itself is probably their favorite. Album-wise, it's up there. If it's not my favorite, might not be my top favorite, but it's definitely in my top albums. Bob Hartman came back to record this album, tour with this album, as far as I know. He was back in the writing. This was a heavy album. If Petra did a heavy metal album, this was it. Now, it's not heavy like Deliverance or anything like that, but it's Petra at their heaviest, put it this way. Jekyll and Hyde, it's a great song. It's a song about struggling between the flesh and the spirit, really.
Yeah.
And it's talking about, two men inside. One takes, one gives. I have to decide who it's going to meet, type of thing. It's a great song, and I love singing along to it. Most times, I'm going through struggles, and I can relate to the song too. But the riff, it's a good heavy riff, and I think that was like the very last song they played. The pastor of the church, where I see him, joined them on the last song, and I believe it was for Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He plays guitar, and it was funny because there was one guitarist sitting on the stand for the whole concert, and I thought, well, Bob must have a second guitar. I thought, at some point he's going to switch. He never did switch guitars. And I thought Jekyll and Hyde was in a different tuning. I thought it was in a down tuning. And for those who don't know that, it's a lot of bands have what they call standard tuning, which, the typical tuning. And then some bands want to create a lower sound than the standard sound and tune their guitars lower than the standard tuning. And that's what we call drop tuning. Usually it's half a step down, and a lot of bands do that sometimes to accompany the vocalist because you can't sing in the higher register. Sometimes it's just for effect. I know a lot of bands will tune down a whole step or more just to create a darker, heavier sound type of thing, because now you're in the lower registers. Yeah. I thought Jekyll and Hyde was tuned down, but Bob never even switched guitars for this song.
Oh, good.
So
well,
maybe
he knows he could use his chest voice. Voice.
Well, I'm not talking about singing, but I'm talking about the way he plays his guitar. So maybe they played in standard for the live. I don't know. It sounded great.
Yeah, and they have really good sound engineers back there. So
yeah. My number 2 is coming off the Petra Praise album. It's the opening track, "I Love the Lord."
Yeah, I could have put that on my list too. Yeah.
I mean, and they played that one, and I mean that guitar riff in that song, that's a great riff. You know, if you want to talk about Petra being heavy, off the Praise album, I Love the Lord, that's a heavy song.
And that song itself, I've experienced it when they play it, the place just goes nuts.
Oh, it's great, yes.
Yeah.
And then my number one, this is going to might come out of left field. It's not one of their big singles. It comes off the Wake Up Call album, and it's not one of their big singles, but a song called Underneath the Blood.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's got another heavy riff to it. You know, and it's not really any guitar solo in there, because instead of the guitar solo, he's using the talk box. But that main riff, again, I think it's great lyrics, a great riff. I mean, geez, my top 5, 6, 7, geez, my top 8 songs all have great guitar riffs in it. I mean, this is Bob Hartman at his best, you know.
Yeah. My number one, I like Creed.
Okay, it's a great song too.
Yeah, this is my Creed.
Yeah, you know, and that came about, I think, John's wife suggested the subject matter to him. Or she said, you know, why don't you write a song about what you believe? So he turned around and wrote Creed.
Yeah.
And very quickly, I got, like I said, threw in a couple honorable mentions that almost made the list. I mentioned God Fixation. I thought, you know, pretty cool thing. It starts off with bass riff, actually, and funky little bass riff, pretty cool. And then we went back to Greg Volt's Everything That Hath Breath. You know,
Everything. That's old. Yeah.
Early song, but you know, for the year it came out, time it came out, it had a pretty good guitar riff to it, you know. Something like that. Anyways.
Yeah. Hopefully,
so that's where sorry,
down the road we'll be able to play some of these tracks. So
yeah. And cool. What was your number one? You said Creed, or
yeah, mine was Creed. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any honorable mentions. I did that one. Oh yeah, did I mention In the Likeness of You?
Yes, you did. That was
did, yeah.
Somewhere up near the top there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, wow.
Oh, I know. You know, like I said, and
I'm not looking forward to when we do the Bon Jovi one. Oh my goodness.
They do the what?
The Bon Jovi, the best of Bon Jovi. They're gonna have.
Are we doing that?
I think we should eventually.
Well, they're not a Christian band.
No, they're not. But this is a podcast where we do Christian and not Christian, isn't it?
Well, we could do that. You know, I'm all for that. I was gonna say the Arm are one of my favorite non-Christian bands, although recently I'm not so sure anymore. they've kind of gone downhill over last few years, and I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Then we could we could spend the whole episode talking about Living on a Prayer. That's all.
Well, that's a good song, and Michael Sweet has covered that in some of his.
Has he?
Yeah. Because he does every now and then he does solo shows without the rest of Striper, just him. And I think it's more so than that's just him on an acoustic. Not so much.
Have you seen the new TV commercial? I forget which company it is, but there's a guy with a violin, and he walks out. He like dropped out of a cloud or something, and he walks up to a mic that just magically appears. He does Living on a Prayer just on a violin.
No, I haven't heard that one.
It is
that one.
Awesome. It is well done. Like, he doesn't sing it or anything. I'm like, that's nice.
But this was a couple of years back, and I think Michael Sweet had done it before too. But I know I follow him on Facebook. I think across his Facebook feed there, he showed a clip.
Oh, I'll have to find it now. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, and he introduces it. He goes, "This is probably the best song written about prayer." And then he starts playing it. He's strumming along, and it's a little different rhythm than what I'm used to hearing. But I picked up on the song as soon as he started singing the lyrics and went, "Oh, okay." he's doing that song. Beautiful. I like it, you know. So yeah, it might be on YouTube, or
Yeah,
you might find it somewhere. And it was good. I think he had the crowd singing along with him, and I thought it was great. Like I said, Bon Jovi, one of my favorite bands, and the fact that Michael Sweet too has said that they're not a Christian band. He thinks of themselves more as Christians in a band.
yes,
Although, and this
yes,
is a topic for another day.
yeah,
Some bands out there, I think, are shying away from being bold about the faith. I don't want to say they're not Christian. I don't want to be judgmental. So I don't know if, and I'm not saying they're not, but a lot of them seem. There was a few bands I was listening to that seemed to write good lyrics, maybe even uplifting lyrics, positive messages, but not bold about the gospel type of thing.
yeah. It's not about forcing you to accept
No,
God right now.
but
Come on, get that on your knees.
but Striper, even though they say they're not a Christian band, have never shied away from the gospel.
That's right.
They've always written. There was one album that they shied away from that, and Michael calls it his least favorite. Maybe that's why, because at the time they were kind of backsliding, not living the walk type of thing, and it reflected in the lyrics. And musically, it took a different direction than what they had been doing. No, I don't fault them for that. I think every now and then band needs to grow and change directions. Lyrically, it was not as bold and in your face about the gospel, but every other album pretty much has been type of thing. And even the last battle, they talks about Jesus is the way, the light, the truth. There is no mistaking what Striper stands for. Put it that way.
Yeah. So to finish it off with Petra, John Schultz has done a solo project by himself.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. I have a couple of his singles. It's rock. It's a lot rockier than Petra ever was.
Oh, I should check that out then. I thought, oh, you know what? I'm starting to get into acquiring more music. But there was a time there were just so much music out there that it was hard to listen to it all type of thing. And that one I knew it came out, never actually listened to it, but I might have to.
It's pretty good. It is. It's. I mean, he. It's okay. It's okay. I'll put it that way. It's. How am I going to put it? Just listen to it and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
That's what.
I'll listen to it and maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode.
Yeah.
Well, next episode we got something special planned. I don't want to give too much away until
That's right.
record.
So what's on for next week?
Hey, no! Don't give it away.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, you know what? You wanted to kind of put a time frame on this, and we've been talking for a while. We did our Petra top 10. We did our history of Petra. I think it's been a pretty good episode.
I think so too.
All right. So thanks for listening to Metal Faith.
You know what? I think we're gonna have to come up with something really cool to say at the beginning and at the end. Like we have to find something like a cool intro.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and come up with even a musical intro.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that after. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
See you next week. Be sure to subscribe and catch more episodes of Metal Faith.
Come say hi to us on our webpage so we know you're alive and we're not just talking to dead air.
Yes. We've got a Facebook page. I'm actually going to create a Spotify playlist of some of the songs we've been talking about. Now, I'm not going to put every Petra song from this episode on there. I'll put a couple up there and a couple other songs that we talked about in past episodes as well. And maybe each week add to it. But yeah, that's our episode. Thanks for listening.
And wanted to say hi to those one of the new members that we have, like Steve, my buddy. Thank you for joining, and we hope you stay and give us your thoughts of the best Petra songs that you like.
Thank you. And thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.